Welcome to Control the Flame, the podcast that helps you tame your temper and manage your anger. I'm your host, Clare Bradley, the anger management coach. In this podcast, I'll share with you tips, techniques and strategies to cope with anger in a healthy and constructive way. Whether you struggle with anger yourself or you have to deal with someone who does, this podcast is for you. Each week, I'll bring you expert interviews, inspiring stories and practical advice on how to control the flame and live a more peaceful and fulfilling life. So sit back, relax and get ready to learn how to master your emotions and take charge of your anger. Hello and welcome to Control the Flame. In this episode, we will explore the different types of anger, how they affect us, and what we can do to manage them. Anger is a normal and healthy emotion that we all experience from time to time. It can help us to express our needs, protect ourselves and others, and motivate us to change things for the better. However, anger can also become a problem when it's too intense, too frequent, or too hard to control. It can harm our physical and mental health, our relationships, and our quality of life. That's why it's important to understand the different types of anger and how to control them and cope with them in a constructive way. There are many ways to classify anger, but one useful framework is based on the work of psychologist Paul Ekman. He identified 6 basic emotions that are universal across cultures: happiness, sadness, fear, disgust, surprise, and anger. He also suggested that each emotion has different variations or subtypes that are more specific and nuanced. For example, anger can be divided into 4 subtypes: annoyance, frustration, fury, and rage. Annoyance is the mildest form of anger. It is a feeling of irritation or displeasure that arises when something or someone interferes with our plans, expectations, or preferences. For example, we might feel annoyed when we have to wait in a long line, when someone cuts us off in traffic, or when our phone battery dies. Annoyance is usually short-lived and easy to manage. We can cope with it by taking a deep breath, changing our perspective, or simply letting it go. Frustration is a stronger form of anger. It's a feeling of dissatisfaction or disappointment that occurs when we face obstacles or difficulties in achieving our goals or needs. For example, we might feel frustrated when we fail an exam, when we lose a game, or when we can't find a solution to a problem. Frustration can last longer and cause more stress than annoyance. We can cope with it by identifying the source of frustration, finding alternative ways to reach our goals or needs, or seeking help or support. Fury is an intense form of anger. It is a feeling of extreme anger that involves a strong desire to harm or destroy something or someone that has wronged us or threatened us. For example, we might feel fury when we're betrayed by a friend, when we're attacked by an enemy, or when we witness injustice or cruelty. Fury can overwhelm our rational thinking and impair our judgment. We can cope with it by expressing it in a safe and appropriate way, such as talking to someone we trust, writing in a journal, or engaging in physical activity. Rage is the most extreme form of anger. It is a feeling of uncontrollable anger that takes over our mind and body. It is often triggered by a perceived threat to our survival or identity. For example, we might feel rage when we're assaulted by a stranger, when we've been humiliated by a bully, or when we're discriminated against because of our race, gender, or religion. Rage can make us act impulsively and violently without regard for the consequences. We can cope with it by removing ourselves from the situation, seeking professional help, or practicing relaxation techniques. As you can see, anger is not a simple emotion. It has different types that vary in intensity, duration, and impact. By recognizing and understanding the different types of anger, we can learn to manage them better and use them as a positive force for change rather than a destructive force for harm. Thank you for listening to the Control the Flame podcast. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode and learned some useful tips on how to manage your anger in a healthy way. If you've been affected by anything in the podcast, or if you want to share your feedback or questions, please email claire@angermanagementcoach.co.uk and I'll be happy to hear from you and offer you more support. Thank you for listening, and do remember, you have the power to control the flame.